Speaking of logic and reason, I saw a tweet last night that caused me to tweet. I quote tweeted it, and I said, "We are not going to survive as a species." Now, was this a tweet from some, dumb mega church saying that the Earth was created 5,000 years ago in 7 days? No, it was not. Was this a snippet of some terrifying Salafist raving in Saudi Arabia about, infidels? No, it was not. Was this even a march from a neo-fascist party in Europe? No. Was it anything that came out of any member of the Republican Party? It was not. It was this. A tweet from a user, if you could scroll up so I could read his name. Oh, we don't have the user's name? No?
I was going to spare it.
Oh, okay, then let's roll it down. You're better than me.
I've already done it now.
Okay,
well, he's wearing a Devils jersey, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, fuck that guy. It was a tweet by the real Bubby, and that said this. Hey, at samharris.org, at samharris.org, your face will now live on my arm forever. Thanks for everything you do. And on this very demented young man's arm is actually the artist's pretty talented. That
the
really
tattoo work is not bad.
Really does.
Because you could really fall into a Ben Stiller thing here. And I think the artist...
He got the sort of the raised, that eyebrow on the right side thing, nailed it. He also captured the aura of just sort of, the ultra trust-funded self-importance, the trustafarian rationalist of our time.
Is there anything these guys
seriously
like more than the gesture of daddy doing a raised eyebrow?
No. I don't think so. And he put and there it is, reason.
Scientific data can't be racist.
This guy has this tattoo. Sam Harris has not responded, which I will take as a modicum of the effectiveness of Vipassana mindfulness meditation. That he is, I'm going to give Harris the credit that he must be somewhat embarrassed by this display.
What kind of mantra would you have to guide this outside your consciousness if you're trying to clear it?
Right, no doubt.
A guy just did this to his arm in my name.
How far you would have to be to not find this embarrassing? It would be, I would imagine if this was Dave Rubin, he would be like, "That's cool. We're both interested in ideas." But Dave Rubin is so dumb that he actually would get a pass on that because he just wouldn't even get any of the implications of it.
If you're an IDW fan listening to this or watching this video on YouTube, and you're a Dave Rubin fan, get the Dave Rubin tattoo.
Yeah, Dave Rubin tattoo will be way cooler.
Yeah,
because it'll just be ideas stretched across his head and him looking up like
that kind of confused look he has where he's waiting for an apple to drop on his head. Get that tattoo so you can really, really push forward the great non-violent, the first, what Dave Rubin called, he suggested at the Oxford Union that the IDW might be the first non-bloody revolution in history, which, not to be a, multiculturalist here, but you really might want to check with how, people in India feel about the concept of a bunch of people on YouTube blabbering about IQ and college campuses being the first non-bloody revolution. Okay, take it out. Look, you know what? Forgive me. Let's take race out of it. I don't want to play identity politics. Maybe the Velvet Revolution, Václav Havel, even one that was anti-communist, no less. And of course, not to be an asshole about this, and I would...
Havel was Catholic, wasn't he, though?
He was actually, I
think he's atheist.
No, he was actually he literally received personal meditation instruction from the Dalai Lama. He was basically a New Age Catholic social democrat and ended his last votes for the Green Party in Czechoslovakia, and he endorsed Occupy.
Václav Havel.
He was okay.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Totally, he supported the invasion of Iraq, though, which is a big mark, but... Whatever. The point, obviously. Also, you're welcome.
Spelling that out sounds somewhat invidious, and we don't really have time to clean up the mess.
I know. I just opened up a huge mess by mentioning any basic facts of modern history with IDW fans. I was going to mention South Africa really don't want to make it racial, and I certainly don't want to have Sam respond with his thoughts on Nelson Mandela's IQ. I wouldn't want to, burden them with that, obviously. So yeah, there it is. Somebody pointed out that the response tweets there should give me some hope in humanity. Like, oh my God, look at this incel as an example.
Yeah, I mean, it is funny, but I also felt sad.
I did too.
Because, I mean, it's easy to fall into this sort of thing if you just don't pay attention to a whole lot of stuff, but are reasonably assured in your critical thinking abilities because let's say you got like a 3.0 through high school. And like maybe you're the smartest guy at work, right? And so like now you found these like this like podcast where it's all these guys talking about ideas and how they just love any idea apart from like the fact that some of their ideas are racist,
right?
And it becomes
or history or anything that literally got. I mean, look at Jordan Peterson. Like that is the consequence of knowing nothing about that of what you not only speak of but histrionically pontificate about. I mean, did Sam, and what's amazing about Sam Harris is that he structurally insulates himself. So it's not only that he doesn't know political history, he doesn't know, like, actually, what is the IQ test in the context for it? It's that to even know that undermines the rationalist enterprise. I mean, that is what's so disturbing about the implications of the sort of middle brow mediocrity reactionary politics he spreads, is that he's saying that not only is Islam about ideas and not like actual things in the world, but to even bother yourself with understanding how policy formulation works is like undermining of like in that case, not even like real data, just thought experiments. It's just, oh my God, it's utterly pathetic. And also apparently we didn't even do this, but apparently maybe we'll do it on TMBS, but Sam Harris said, and Dave Rubin, that like politics are boring. Nothing bores me last night.
He also said that Vox is basically as bad as the KKK.
Oh, right. He said that they were the moral equivalent of the KKK. Yeah, that was good. That was that is actually, I've been a long time Sam Harris like critic and have been sort of just shocked at how many people are taken in by the mediocrity. But has he always been this crazy? Like that line is even like, that's a standout. Like that's an insane comment. And by the way, I'm sure that that's out of context, but let me just say this. The only way that this clip we're about to play could be justified as out of context or put in context in a way that isn't insane would be, and I'm borrowing now, this is an Al Franken joke. Because when Pat Robertson said that the towers came down partially because God like brought down his protective umbrella because of gay people or something, and he was called out on it, and he said he was taken out of context. And Al Franken said the only way he would be taken out of context is if he had said, "I would be fucking crazy to say." So if Sam Harris had right before this said, "I would be fucking crazy to say," this would be taken out of context. Let's play it.
So it's like just in interacting with a reporter from, Salon or Vox, right? Like who's there? I'm meeting someone who essentially has the intellectual and moral integrity of the guy in the white hood, over on the right. And
so he's gonzo. Like, I don't, like, if you're still like a fan for him and you don't realize that he's like, even if you can't even understand the race stuff and you can't understand the foreign policy stuff and you can't understand the overrated stuff, if you don't get that comparing Ezra Klein to a guy in a hood is a self-canceling, awe-inspiringly insane thing to say, then you're also insane and nuts.
And really what they need to hear is there's another daddy for you to go to. Hitchens got Charles Murray right. So just go back to Hitchens, guys.
Look, that would be the best thing that could come out of this. Hitchens had his problem, but look, he was totally wrong on really important things, but he was also right on a great many things. He was always a great wit and a great writer. He understood Charles Murray was a racist. He knew a thing about history.
Yeah, wasn't threatened by learning about history.
He wasn't threatened by learning about history. He traveled the world. He was actually funny. He had something else to say. And I mean, my God, you know, honestly, I say this as somebody who obviously already thought that Hitchens, you know, I mean, with becoming an Iraq invader and a Bush apologist and all this stuff was awful. But I mean, I'm glad he's not around just on the off chance that he would have joined up with this, because my God, that would have been depressing.
Yeah, and much more formidable.
And much more formidable. These guys are, I mean, come on. You have the insane trust fund meditation guy who's just in like a constant state of narcissistic grievance. You have the shithead professor who rode students protesting him to national infamy and actually has very conventional ideas. And in fact, if he really wanted to address what was going on with Evergreen, would be talking about state budget cuts. Then you have the, you know, crazy histrionic shaman guy who's huge, but he's going to flame out and has some decent self-help ideas. Then you have, you know, one of the dumbest talk show hosts in America. Like Dave Rubin is like Ducey level. Yeah. Like, yeah. And then, you know, and Rogan, I wish Rogan didn't promote a lot of this bullshit. I have problems with Rogan, but Rogan's bigger than it. And if this stops being a fad, he'll promote the next fad. And, you know, yes, if Hitch was there, then it would be like, fuck. That's a lot of firepower on the other side.
I think Harris would know his lane a lot better, too.
Yeah, Harris, that's probably true. Harris would be like, my next book on meditation good, Islam bad. And also regurgitating ideas from the Oxford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, so that mommy will affirm that I have a great intellect and I'll justify having a Golden Girls Trust Fund. And yes, that is an ad hominem. That's true. It's demonstrable.
You should
from
know
all
where people
available
got their seed
evidence.
money from.
What?
You should know where people got their seed money from.
Yes. It's pretty important to know where somebody's coming from. It's
particularly if it's funny.
Particularly, yeah. Particularly if you like, if you had the privilege to bum around until your 30s and then basically just like get subsidized to create a persona of public intellect, which hit all of the grids. Like, the perfect posture when Sam Harris first came on the scene. Could you imagine? On one hand, I'm going to validate every single mainstream, educated, centrist fear and terror about the Middle East, bigotry towards Muslims and Palestinians, and I'm going to validate the foreign policy consensus of the time. And then, oh my God, don't even get me into, I get it, that he technically opposed the invasion of Iraq. Maybe. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. Okay, so don't even come at me with this. That is all I will say is his position on Iraq is subject to a lot of interpretation. And that is not the fault of those who have been reading and listening to him. But then also at the same time, you know, call out Bush for, you know, and Christian fanaticism. I mean, that was a perfect market opportunity for that time, because you had, you know, people on the actual left who would call out religious chauvinism and the role of religion in American public life that was detrimental and dangerous, particularly in that time, but also would still say, you know, like what Noam Chomsky's going to say that, and he's also going to say we should oppose U.S. imperialism. So that's not comfortable. And then, you know, and then you have the crop of guy like, we need to join hands with Bush in causing endless bloodshed across the Middle East, not to mention Afghanistan. Don't question and anything that the U.S. does in foreign policy that's wrong is just a mistake because they have good intentions, which is like I mean, as you articulate it, you realize just how utterly laughable that position is in a political conversation. Like, you could reduce any actor in global politics to just good or bad intentions is just childish. But that you also say, yeah, I mean, the Bible's dumb. I mean, that was a perfect market opportunity. And maybe you're right. Maybe if Hitch was still around, you know, there would be more of like, okay, I shouldn't I shouldn't buddy up with Charles Murray. I shouldn't kind of become like a sort of classed up, mindfulness voice troll. Maybe not. I don't know.
If I want to say women aren't funny, I should at least mention the Kurds. That's
Right. Right. And maybe like also have that stupid article still be a well-written Vanity Fair article. Like it's just like a whole other level. Like the whole, like the particular stage of a particular kind of boyhood that those guys are appealing to would be so like, at least with Hitch, there's the charisma, there's the energy, there's the, it's like they've got all of the poisons and none of the benefits. And man, I miss Hitch. I really do. Because ideally, because I liked his ideas and Hitch had ideas. No, but ideally Hitch would be like, yeah, I'm sorry I stopped reading Marx and became an imperialist. Let me get back to inequality. And no, I don't want to do a 60-city tour next to some, crying Jungian and, some empty suit airhead YouTube host. And Sam Harris, is not fun to hang out with. I mean...